All right, what's up, everybody? This is Will from Flow Candy. Today, I am breaking down Miu Miu, a real brands. They tend to be a little bit more toned or dialed back with their email marketing. But with that said, I learned a lot in this breakdown. I also am going to benchmark them against Gucci, a brand probably many of you guys know. Before I jump into all that, though, some quick housekeeping notes. So if you click on this link, it'll take you to the breakdown. And then if you click on this link, it'll take you to the benchmarking report that I'll be going through. So with that said, why don't we dive in here? So some quick notes. Both of these brands drive a ton of traffic, okay? We're talking Miu Miu, about 5 million views every 3 months. So over 1 million views a month on this site. And Gucci, wow, 24 million visitors a month or every 3 months. This is really, really a lot of traffic. I don't normally break down brands with this much traffic. So it just goes to show you these luxury brands are, even though they might not have the highest conversion rate just because the products are a little more expensive, they don't do a lot of discounting or promotional stuff. These guys still drive a lot of traffic. I think a lot of it is just due to the aspirational nature of the brands. Here, about almost 16 emails a month. So they're really they're onto something here. And you don't normally see that with a lot of luxury brands from my experience. But I will say that this is a world class brand. Um, Everyone knows it, and they can afford to probably send this, and they're launching a lot of products. So, but I was surprised to see that. I'll get into this promotional frequency. So here's the big thing: these brands hardly ever do promotional sends. I did see a couple from Gucci, and I'll talk about that. They're not like get 15% off or 10% off. The luxury brands are notorious for not sending promotional emails, and you could say that like they might not get as much revenue as say you would for a brand that's doing a lot of promotional discounting and stuff like that. However, this is good because a lot of brands, from my experience, they don't want to do a lot of promotional email. Like when they promotion, then when they send a bunch of promos, they sort of cheapen the brand and they train the customer to only really buy with a discount code. With that said, like a lot of times they need to do those promos though to drive revenue. So it's sort of like chicken and egg here. It's like we got to show growth, so let's do a promotion. But hold up, we don't want to just train the customer to only buy with us based off discounts. So if you're a brand that's sort of wondering, okay, like how can we send less promotional emails? This might be a good one to watch, especially if you're like consider yourself a luxury brand. This will be quite a good one to watch. Tech stack, so very I don't know if the legacy is the right word, but they're definitely not using some of the more cutting edge tools. I'm pretty sure Miu Miu is using Adobe Enterprise Cloud to manage their website and send their emails, and I'm pretty sure Gucci is using Salesforce. I don't even know if they're doing SMS marketing. I couldn't really figure it out. And even when I opted into their emails, like I never got like a welcome email. I will say Gucci, though, in their defense, they are doing a pop up. If you go to their site, they will do, if you scroll down, eventually, they'll get something like this, subscribe now. So they are doing something there. And this pops up eventually. It might not pop up because I'm already cookied, but eventually it'd be like a pop-up. So if you are wondering, okay, like what's a sort of way we can grow the list? We're a luxury brand. We just don't want to go, we don't want to just put up a pop-up that says get 10% off your first order like everyone else. We want to, protect our pricing and stuff like that. I would check out Gucci's pop-up. But yeah, so they are doing that. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes here. Let's get into the strategy. So I benchmarked them at a 7 and a 9, and I benchmarked Gucci a little bit higher. And I always say this as a disclaimer. This is not a perfect system. Okay. I've never worked with Miu Miu or Gucci. I don't have access to any of their data. I don't know their open rates, their click-through rates, how much revenue they're driving, their earnings per recipient, their segments. I don't know anything about their cohorts or retention. I don't know anything about deliverability, opens, bounce, spam, unsubscribes, conversion rates onto their form. So I don't know any of this stuff. Okay. So, but what I do know is I can go through their campaigns and see what angles they're using and sort of benchmark them off that. And my experience has been that typically the more angles a brand is using, the more calibrated and dialed in they are with email marketing. It doesn't always mean they're making more revenue necessarily, but it normally means they do a really good job. And I'll be honest with you, I've broken down some of these brands before. I've broken down Breeze, this CBD brand. I broke down Recess, another sort of new tropical drink brand. These are some of the highest benchmark brands I've broken down from like a retention email marketing side. And they're scoring like 19, 20. And that's really, really high. They're doing a lot of these angles. And, a lot of people in sort of the industry would agree that those brands do email marketing well. So it's not a perfect system. It's not always like one-to-one, but it is somewhat adjacent and the trends kind of align here. If you score pretty high, if you get benchmarked pretty high, you're normally doing, you normally have a pretty well thought out retention email marketing backend. All right. With that disclaimer out of the way, I'm going to go through each angle. I'm also going to talk about some angles I learned as well from these brands. There's some angles that are not featured here. Every time I do these breakdowns, I sort of uncover new angles that I think could work in certain industries. So let's start with, I'll just start with the promotional here. So Miu Miu doesn't do any promotional emails. Okay. When I say promotional email, I mean like get 10% off, get 15% off. It could even be like buy one, get one free or get free shipping, and they don't do any of that. Okay. And this is common practice for a lot of luxury brands. So they're not going to get a point here. I did score Gucci high, give Gucci a point here because they do some very, very light promotional stuff. It's not like 10% off or $10 off your order. It's like complimentary free shipping during Black Friday or something like that. So that is like that's a very, very soft promotion. You might not even consider that a promotion, some of you guys watching this, but I'm going to score them on that. And so if you're a luxury brand wondering like how you can do promotions, I would go look at what Gucci does. They kind of do this around Black Friday. I think they did it around Father's Day too. They even did some scarcity a little bit, like last chance to get complimentary free shipping, even like they're like elevating the promo a little bit here. So that was something cool I learned. These guys did a pretty good job of it. And again, like I went through their emails. I mean, only 3% of their emails were scored as like promotional. And I'll be honest, like the average common day SMB mid-market D2C brand that I look at that's maybe doing 0 to 10 million or 10 to $50 million. If they're in apparel, beauty, like a lot of them, like 30, 40, sometimes 50% of their emails are promotional. Okay. So this is like a stark difference in categories here. The difference between a premium or a luxury brand versus even like premium brands or even just like sort of your regular, average brand that's doing discounting. So I'm not going to talk much about promotional stuff here, but moving into just like their January calendar, and I could only pull from 2023. So they might be sending some newer emails, but if you look at this, what they do, and you'll see this a lot with the luxury brands. Okay. is it is all about collection emails. I think that is the angle they are sending the most. Collection, 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 collection. Sometimes they'll do product focus, sometimes they'll do product launch, but it's a lot of collection stuff. And this is true. It's not just true for luxury, it's true for apparel in general. A lot of apparel brands will lead with like the new collection, or they'll feature like this certain clothing collection. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I mean a collection, I mean like a category. Like say for Miu Miu, it's like loafers or shoes. You know, they're only focusing on shoes, but they're focusing on a couple different products. So that's what I mean by it's a collection focused email. Even this one, this proportion play, it might not be like an actual collection that's like categorized on the site. I think it's like silhouettes. Is that, yeah, these sort of like cut top, these short top, or sort of like exposes your belly button, but they're like making it a collection kind of. So they do that a lot. And then another thing they're doing is this is kind of like a new product launch, I guess, this bag. And then this was interesting. They will use the same creative here, or they'll use like variations of creative. So it's literally the same product here, same SKU. And then from like an email design perspective, like an email design system, this is a system we recommend a lot of brands have, is there's not a lot of crazy styling going on with these emails. I mean, this is something that you don't even really need a designer or a developer to build. I mean, they are having a logo here. This is a repeatable block. This block right here, you'll see some brands do this. It's like a click here and you can view it in your browser. This is a repeatable block. This is just an image block that, you know, anybody who can build a PowerPoint presentation can upload this into an email. This is It's a repeatable design system. It's very, very simple. You don't need to hire some fancy advertising agency. Even an agency that I work or that I founded, Flow Candy, where we design like sometimes we do like very elevated. The marketing team likes the copy that I write, but it's very simple to deploy these emails. So let's move on into February. Something that I thought was interesting that they do that they got a point for is this is a content email. So I gave them a point on that. And Gucci does this too. But basically, you know, it doesn't have to only be content, but it's more like what I would say top of funnel. You're not like in this one is like a true content email. There is no product here. They're not doing anything middle of funnel, anything bottom of funnel, showing product intent. It's just about this film, you know, and you know, it doesn't. It probably, who knows if it drives a lot of sales, but it does keep people engaged, and it's just something to sort of like nurture. Okay, so they got a point for this, and they do a collabs a couple different ways. I'll talk about it. I'm going to call it the soft collab, so I'll get into that in a second. But here's the first collab. Right? Joint venture is traditionally probably what it's called in business, but it's partnering with New Balance. And these are great. Okay, the reason why you would want to do a JV, joint venture, or a collaboration is because you're tapping into both brands' audiences. You know, Miu Miu gets to tap into New Balance's audience. New Balance gets to tap into Miu Miu's audience. Okay, so it's a great way to sort of cross promote across brands, and you're seeing like a lot of big brands do it now. Liquid Death is doing this. A lot of JVs. You just go look at their newsletters. It's like JV after JV after JV, or collaboration after collaboration. Another thing on the collab where they got a point for in my book was what I'm calling these soft collabs, where this is a picture of Kendall Jenner. Okay, so she's a model for them, but like they're not even mentioning her name, so this is very elevated, very sort of letting the picture sell the story. So I don't know if this is like a true collab in the sense that like, yeah, Kendall is like like an influencer here or getting some like revenue share. I'm not sure about that, but or even like a JV like it is with New Balance, but I'm going to give them a point on the collab, and you'll see they do these soft collabs everywhere. Here they're leaning into this girl. This is Gigi Hadid, I'm pretty sure. Sorry if I mispronounced her name. And the girl from Ozarks, I think I saw. If you guys have ever watched Ozark, that show, there were some collabs, what I'm calling sort of soft collabs. Or maybe that's Gucci. Sorry, I was thinking about Gucci. And Gucci does the same thing too. And Gucci does it on an even more elevated level. They were doing something where, like, just recently I saw a collab of them where Yara, the girl from Blackish and Grownish, I think, it was like her mother. It was like a Mother's Day promotion with her and her mother. Yara Sahidi, I think her name is. And then the girl from Ozarks, and there's other people, there are other sort of celebrities they're partnering with. And again, it's very, very soft. They're not like mentioning the celebrities' names so much. So I gave them both points on the collab. One thing, this is like an angle that I learned about. I've never really talked about that. I mean, it makes sense, but I never really sort of categorize this. It's like a save the date, sort of like save the date for the launch of our new collection. And a lot of luxury brands are doing this. So Gucci is doing the same thing. They're sort of like building hype and anticipation around the collection. So if you are an apparel brand, or you are someone that's coming out with new collections, or your luxury brand, this is an angle you can tap into. And I scored them. I just put this as early access. Okay. I should probably give Gucci a point too for that, because they're doing the same thing. And they might even do it like, hey, like anticipation. It's almost like a product launch. Like, we're going live, and here's the replay. So I've seen a little bit of that going on with these luxury brands. It's a great way to sort of keep people engaged, introduce the new collection, build hype around the new collection. So that's a sort of new angle that I learned. Let's see, and again, like throughout these months, it's just collection email after collection email. They're doing a lot of that. Sometimes, here's like an accessory sunglasses one. So they'll do a lot of this stuff, a lot of these soft collabs. A lot of them are sort of, adjacent to the season we're in. So this one, what am I looking at here? June. So we're in summer. So it's more of a, sandals and sunglasses. So that's what's going on there. Moving into, I'm going to pull up August because they did something very interesting in August. This was an interesting email. I don't even know what I would call this. This is another new angle for me that I've uncovered. Scan the snap code, virtual try on. I guess it's like you get, like, they've turned these bags into, I guess, like stickers or filters you could use in Snapchat. So you could give them the point here for, I wouldn't say sign up for SMS or you could give them a point for contest or like trending now, but it's not really the same thing. So that's one thing. Now on the trending now, I did give Gucci a point for that because they did have like a new in spotlight email. So they were doing some like trend. They didn't use the word trending, but they did, or like fast selling, like you'll see some brands use. But they did have some like some trending, a couple of emails about trending products. Okay, moving on to September, I found interesting. Okay, so September, this is another content email they sent, so I gave them a point on that. For some reason in September, they really ramped up the sends. You know, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 emails in September. I couldn't really figure that out. Maybe this is like a big season for them. But maybe somebody who's in the luxury industry might know better than I. But it was interesting to see that that was like their biggest month of sends. Normally you would see this in November around Black Friday. But yeah, we're moving into the holiday season. So this is what I'm talking about. This save the date, spring, summer show. Here's the show, you know. So this is the video, watch it, the replay. Here's some pictures of it. So very much like a product launch. They do put a lot of hype and they put a lot of email marketing behind their new collection. And then again, it's a lot of, more collection emails, shoes, collection emails. I think this is a collab. I think this girl is in a movie I watched. She's an actress. I forget her name though, but yeah, so, they're sort of mixing that, just a ton of what I'm calling soft collaborations and collection-based emails. Okay, we're into November. One thing they did was so they didn't really do hey, Black Friday sale, Cyber Monday sale. I don't think there was any mention of that at all, which is common for some of these luxury brands. There really was not even much holiday theming, a very little bit. There's a little bit of red going on in here. There's a little bit of, here and these sort of darker neutral colors because it's fall maybe. But you could look at this and be like, this is not necessarily an email. You could say maybe it's holiday, but you could also make a case that it's maybe not, But anyway, the only real holiday thing they did here was the holiday collection. So maybe that's what it was. Yeah. But they don't even really talk about it so much. Musts of the season. They did get a point for gift ideas here, but they were doing some other gift stuff too. So, but it's very, very soft, very, very dialed back. And then, I don't think I saw much in December. In December, it was very, very light. Not a lot at all. More gifting and some sort of a little bit, I guess, holiday winter collection type stuff. So I benchmarked them at about a 7. I benchmarked Gucci a little bit higher, mainly because they're doing trending now. They're doing a little bit of promotional emails. They had a couple limited editions that are launching. But both of them are doing a lot of this celebrity stuff, but not really mentioning the celebrities so much. They're doing these save the date, the collection is launching. Also, I scored Gucci is doing a little bit more frequency. Again, they're averaging about 15 emails a month. So a pretty good cadence. Every other day they're deploying an email, which is, tells me they've got a pretty competent CRM, lifecycle retention, email marketing department, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, they definitely got benchmarked a little bit higher. And, just so you know, like I said at the beginning, it's hard. I normally consider anybody around a 10 to be doing a good job, 15 to be doing a great job, 20 means you're like best in class in like all of e-commerce. So it's going to be hard for a luxury brand to get to 10, in my opinion, just because you're not doing promotional stuff. You're probably like scaling a lot of this stuff back. You're probably not going to be doing loyalty and trying to get people to sign up for SMS. Some of them might not even have retail. They only have their own retail stores. You probably won't be doing a lot of surveying or stuff like that. But I would look at Gucci. It is pretty for like they're finding creative ways, I think, to really do promotions in an elevated way, do trending now stuff in an elevated way, limited edition stuff. And even if I was looking at some of their flows a little bit, like Gucci was also doing like browse abandonment flows and abandoned checkout flows and back in stock flows. And that's not all. That doesn't mean they're just doing promotionals in those emails. I mean, it's just like, hey, this product's back in stock, or you viewed this product. So they're not even doing promotions there, but they are doing some of those sort of automations. And I couldn't really get any sort of trigger for Miu Miu, but they might be doing that. So yeah, that's the breakdown. As always, if you made it this far, if you have any questions on it, you can just DM me on LinkedIn. I'm normally pretty active here. And also, if you want to keep talking, you can always book a call with me here. You can click this button and you can just schedule a call, schedule some time to get on our calendar, and me or someone from my team will be happy to walk you through any questions you have. All right. Thanks again for watching, and stay tuned for the next one. We're doing a lot of these breakdowns, and yeah, I'm not sure what we're doing next, but we'll definitely have another one coming soon. Thanks.